Well, hey, welcome to the show, folks. Thanks very much for tuning in to the Exiled Minds Podcast on today, Wednesday, the 5th of July, 2023, with me, your host, the incredibly famous Liam Martin. I'm a bit late today. I had a few gremlins in the machine earlier. I had a track come from nowhere. As soon as I hit live, just started looping in the background. There's no sound sources. Turned all the internet off. It was weird. So that's it. Then I couldn't get the PC to come back on. So that was weird. But anyway, we're here. We're here. So hour late, but I'm still on the radio clock, so that's all good. Time's an illusion anyway. But talking of time and time travel and weird stuff, we're gonna cover the topic of aliens today. This kind of comes up here and there, and I mentioned farsighted remote viewers and this and the other. I've mentioned all sorts of things, but it's one of the basic things that I've done so long ago. I've never actually covered it, so it's like sort of done to death in my head. So I'm going to do it because trying to take the listeners on a bit of a journey, make it a bit of a handy reference book to look at with this show, so you can just get yourself caught up if you've never heard of any of this stuff. This is the whole point. If you've never heard of any of this stuff, the world's about to get weird. So I'm saying let's try and educate each other the best of what we figured out. Stand on the shoulders of giants, as we say. So so that's what we're gonna do today. So today, get ready to go on an extraordinary enigmatic journey into the world of aliens and UFOs with the Exiled Minds Podcast. Me, Liam Martin, I'm inviting you to join us on a captivating journey where we explore the mysteries beyond our planet. Join us as we delve into a compelling encounters, mind-boggling sightings, and a quest for answers, which you tend to never get, but we'll try. We'll have a go. Try and get closer. So we'll go from the unexplained phenomenon to government secrets. This episode will transport you to frontiers unknown. So buckle up, open your mind, and get ready for a thrilling extraterrestrial adventure, unlike anything you've experienced before, because you'll have me and the Exiled Minds Podcast, your portal to uncharted realms of alien and UFO encounters and journeys and speculation with your famous host, Liam Martin. Woo! Broadcasting live today and on the Troubled Minds Radio Network, KUAP Digital Broadcasting. Check it out. It's on a live 365. So still in beta test, still in building. When I say beta, it's available, but it's not gathering numbers yet officially, because it's not trying to, But yeah, go and check that out as well. And yeah, I'm going to show them. We'll get into this alien stuff, and yeah, we'll look at some of a couple of the sort of famous encounters. We'll see what this whole thing's all about, because recently it's been coming up in the newspapers, and I think for a lot of people it's just been one of them things to completely dismiss, because it's kind of like, I mean, look, it's a tough one to think about. Is there life elsewhere, right? But that's a very ambiguous thing. And both answers are scary. Let's remember this. Existential kind of like angst and stuff. If we're the only life in the entire universe and it's supposed to be super massive and we're like, there's a lot of pressure on us, right? If it's just us, it seems pretty lonely, yeah. On the other hand, if we're not the only life, then there's other life. And what could it be like? So then people get worried into that all alien invasion stuff. So it's like, well, it's terrifying to think we're the only ones, but then is it terrifying to think that we're not the only ones? And if we're not the only ones, and there's aliens and extraterrestrial, whatever, then have they been here already? Been here before? I think one thing's for sure, before we even start, I think my premise for this is there's no alien invasion business like over, like the movies. I don't think we're going to be seeing that, because it seems to be plenty of planets out there. So it's going to have to be really complicated. And also, when we see countries get invaded, we like, as a community, we're like, no. And then eventually we step in, don't we? So it's like, well, I don't know. But so let's have a look at it. Let's have a check. So I'm going to go, first of all, I want to take you to, because we've all heard, I think, of the most famous the Roswell encounter. So yeah, so let's have a look at that one there. I've got to reset this screen for the video listeners because of the old internet glitches earlier on. But we'll have a look at this there. So this is from the FBI, actually, it's from the Vault records and FBI records. But yeah, you can look this up. You can have a look at some of these old documents that have been, they're not classified anymore. It's still got some redacted marks for important information. But the Roswell incident is a famous one, because the story goes with this, that in 1947, a place near Roswell, actually, there's supposed to be a couple of crashes that day, but yeah, there's the famous Roswell crash where supposedly, a flying disc has crashed, and it's meant to have been recovered and flown to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. It was in 1947, so this is not long after the Second World War. So it's important in the timelines. As you know, if you listen to this show, I like to look at how things fit in the overall timeline, try and look at a bigger picture, because I think that's how we have to do it. Connect these dots, because nothing really sort of stands alone. So just for FBI records, and just for the video listeners, and to sort of prove things, we'll have a look at the actual document, which reads straight from the original thing. So it says a few bits marked out, but it's from the 7th of the 8th, 47. Directed to the general of this senator. Okay, so some bits are redacted. Okay, so what we can read is flying disc information concerning blacked out headquarters, 8th Air Force. Telephonically advised. Yeah, we've spoken on the telephone. This office that an object purporting to be a flying disc was recovered near Roswell. In New Mexico, this is. The disc is hexagonal in shape. That's what they've underlined that, and was suspended from a balloon by cable, which the balloon was approximately 20 feet in diameter. I'm assuming that's what they're saying. They lifted it up with, recovered it with a balloon, 20-meter balloon. Further advised that the object found resembles a high-altitude weather balloon with radar reflectors. Oh, this is the bit we're saying, it's a weather balloon. Okay, so this is where this comes from. But that telephone communication between the office and Wright-Patterson Air Force Base had not form out this belief. So they'd spoke on the phone and they didn't think it was a weather balloon. disc and balloon being transported to Wright Patton Airfield by special plane for examination. Information provided this office because of, I think that's C7, national security interest, basically. And in fact, the National Broadcasting Company, Associated Press, and other attempting to break the story of location and it's this today. So the story is basically that it was originally announced that they found a flying disc. Okay, and it was announced like, oh yeah, we found this thing. So then they kind of backtracked and said, oh no, it's a weather balloon, and there's all this, and we've got this material. However, famously, let's see if we can get a picture of this up. We'll go on. They backtracked. They first said, yeah, we've got a flying disc, right? Then they backtracked and gone, oh, weather balloon. And if we'll notice, there's a picture where it's showing you some of the material, okay? But this is an ominous picture, really, because the guy that's showing you, and is a guy crouching down, and there's a commander crouching down with a hat as well. And the way they're crouching down, that's a pose of submission as well. As a little side note, I'm just thought it's important to know that crouching down position is like a submission thing. And later on, I couldn't find it for this, but later on, somebody there's a you can see a letter in this guy's hand. In some of the pictures, they're holding a letter. One of the officers, with modern technology, they've been able to sort of recreate the letter, like zoom into it, change the way it's warped and stuff with computers, and kind of read some of it. And on one of these letters, it said like it talks about recovering cadavers, which is bodies. Okay. So that's the Roswell thing. And so like I say, they're looking at wonder weapons after the Second World War. There was the reports of the Foo Fighters during the Second World War as well, which they were seeing these weird like plasma balls, like ball lightning, and they thought they might have been a German wonder weapon. But then it turns out the Germans thought it might have been one of our weapons. Okay, and then there's the famous, we'll get an image of this as well. There was an incident called the Battle of LA as well during this sort of time, the Battle of Los Angeles, and that was in 1942 during the war. So you can imagine they were pretty, on high alert. But again, for the video listeners, and you can look this up, like I say, always look this up for yourself, but just for the video viewers, yeah, there's images of it. There's a classic image, but there's always a black and white image where there's always spotlights shining into the air from different places. So they're all converging on this one spot. Well, they've got a blatant UFO. They've all got spotlights on this UFO. And they launched just tons and tons. They fired loads of bullets at it. Is in Wikipedia, it's the Battle of Los Angeles, known as the Great Los Angeles Air Raid, is a name given by contemporary sources to the rumored attack on to a rumored attack on the United States by Imperial Japan, except it was a UFO. They sent a barrage of anti-aircraft, ordnance at it, and just didn't do anything. In fact, people got injured and killed from the ordnance falling down. So it's just a bit of a weird one. But like I say, we don't know, do we? We weren't around then, but it was in the papers and people talked about it. People got injured, and it's a bit of a weird thing. So there was kind of stuff going on then. So people are a bit on edge. So after the Second World War, trying to build wonder weapons, exploding the atom bombs and stuff. And so some theorize that that's why things seem to come about then with UFOs, because you're starting to use nuclear weapons. Okay. And in the modern times, like I say, nowadays in the news was US Navy and whatnot start talking about UFOs. Actually bringing up the conversation now as if to say something's changed, maybe. So, however, all this time it's always been tinfoil hat conspiracy stuff, right? But like I say, things have started to change these days. So let's have a look at a more sort of modern article and see what's what. So in life science, I'll zoom in a bit for the video people. In life science, we've got 9 things we learned about aliens in 2021. So this is a bit more recent. So we jumped from 1947 and we've had all that. Oh, it's tinfoil hat. I've had a lot of abductions reported, but what's what, don't know. It's always been thought to not be true. Area 51 was supposed to be made up. So obviously it was there for decades before they admitted it. So anyway, from Life Science, 9 things we learned about aliens in 2021. And so this is what I'm talking about. The bombshell UFO report that started bringing out, Congress are having to talk about it now. So in the article, it reads, a bombshell is by Brandon Spector, published December 28th, 2021. Bombshell UFO report, the alien junk in our solar system and more clues about extraterrestrial life. And we have a nice image there. 2 pilots reported seeing a bright green UFO in Canada, July 2021. But there's been loads of reports, and this is always the argument. There's so many, some of it's got to be real, and obviously some of it is unexplainable. Some of it is misidentification, phenomenon, or birds or whatever, Venus in the night sky. But there's so many that can't be accounted for, and there's radar stuff as well. So anyway, going on in this article, 9 things then. So the year 2021 gave truth seekers and alien hunters no shortage of mysteries to ponder, because, but it also gave them answers. It's ambiguous. From a hotly anticipated Pentagon report on military UFO sightings to new insights on habitable exoplanets to the truth about so-called alien signals from the sun's neighboring star. Here's 9 things then that we've learned, according to the article in lifescience.com. 1. UFOs are real, and the government knows it. In June, the Pentagon released a highly anticipated report detailing 144 UFO encounters between 2004 and 2021. So that's pretty recent. There's nowhere near back as the Roswell, as far as the Roswell stuff. The report was meant to assess the threat posed by unidentified aerial phenomena, or UAPs, which is now the term that they're using instead of UFOs. Okay, so they're only talking modern cases and are calling it UAPs. It's important to note. Moving on. Officially confirmed several UFO sightings that had until then only been shared through viral media. On one hand, the brief, 9 pages, it was very brief, 9-page assessment confirmed that most of the UAPs reported probably do represent physical objects, which range from birds and balloons to foreign surveillance equipment and top secret US government projects. Fair enough. However, anyone hoping for an acknowledgement of extraterrestrial intelligence may have been let down because the report failed to link any of the 144 encounters to alien activity. So but it goes on. Number 2 then. So black holes could be alien powerhouses. That's one thing that's been coming up. While alien hunters spend plenty of time searching for habitable planets beyond our solar system, a study published in July in the journal Monthly Notices of the Royal Astronomical Society warns that scientists shouldn't overlook nature's most extreme objects, black holes. Black holes can radiate up to 100,000 times more energy than a star like our sun. They may make tempting targets for alien civilizations looking to power their interstellar enterprises, as the author writes. To do this, aliens could use high-tech structures called Dyson spheres, giant energy siphoning orbs, first proposed in the 60s. You build like a sphere all the way around it. I mean, you do it around a star, but they're saying, do it around a whole black hole because there's loads of energy there. Capture it. It's almost like putting a solar panel all the way around the sun, like a ball solar panel to get all of it. That sort of thing. So the radiated energy would create a distinct wavelength signature that astronomers could detect from Earth. That's sort of what they say. If you made a giant ball around a star or the core of a galaxy, then you'd probably be able to notice it with unique wavelengths. The researchers are currently developing algorithms to search for existing telescope data to search for the telltale signatures, just to see if there's any Dyson spheres out there. So that's an interesting one. A whole ball all the way around. Number 3, alien planets may look nothing like Earth. That seems pretty damn obvious to me. Is that some new thing? Alien, right? The clue's in the name. It's alien, from alien worlds. Look at all your imaginings of sci-fi and aliens, and they have purple plants and live carnivorous, you know what I mean? We've been there. I don't think that's the big one. I'm going to skip that. It's like they're mocking us. But let's talk. In fact, we're talking extremophiles. Okay. Typically, the search for alien life begins with a search for Earth-like planets, which is always very culture-bound, isn't it? Anyway, but there may be other class of aliens that will be just as conductive to life. A study published in Astrophysical Journal in August contends Haitian planets, which are up to 2.5 times larger than Earth, sport huge oceans of liquid water beneath hydrogen-rich atmospheres. Could this be the ideal spot for microbial life similar to exophiles that thrive in some of Earth's harshest environments, such as hydrothermal vents? The study of exophiles are a good candidate, and if you consider some of these exophiles, say they can survive these really extreme situations, even at the tardigrade can survive the vacuum of space for years and with no water for years, and then still get rehydrated and still come back alive. Mushroom spores can make their way up the atmosphere, be caught on an asteroid, survive the vacuum of space for millions of years, stay dormant, live on ultraviolet radiation, survive re-entry on another planet because the spores are as hard as metal, and then create a fertile lens of soil on another planet and then start over. So mushrooms have technically got a natural space travel. So these things moving around and small. It is, in fact, crazy as it sounds, it's possible. Say some of these exophiles look like monsters to us, so maybe that explains some of the monsters of the past. Anyway, moving on. Number 4, Saturn. One of Saturn's moons still holds potential for life. Okay, so we've heard of one of Jupiter's moons, Europa. Often it's an ice world where they've talked about there could be liquid oceans underneath it. But here we're talking the moon of Saturn. So a methane wafting from Enceladus, Saturn's 6th largest moon, may be a sign that life teems on the moon's subsurface area. It's got a subsurface sea as well. That's what they're proposing with this Jupiter's 6th largest moon, as a June study finds. In 2005, NASA's Cassini mission, it launched the Cassini-Saturn orbiter and discovered geysers blasting particles of water ice into space from tiger stripes, quote unquote, tiger striped fractures near Enceladus, the South Pole. The material is thought to come from a huge ocean of liquid water that sloshes beneath the moon's icy shell. But it wasn't just water the orbiter found. Numerous other compounds, including dihydrogen H2 and a variety of carbon-containing organic compounds, including methane, which is a CH4, also appearing in the geysers. So they've got methane in the geysers, basically fart gas, organic carbon compounds. I thought that's exactly what they're looking for on Mars to indicate life, right? With those furnaces, although there's furnace experiments, they're too hot. If you use them same experiments on Earth, you don't detect life because it burns up the life it kills it before it vents off the gases to detect it, by the way. So that's another opportunity though. Moon of Saturn. Another thing the same we've found out about aliens in these last few decades and up to 2021. Scientists may be ignoring alien junk in our solar system. Alien junk. What could they mean by that? Do they mean alien junk from ships? Or alien rubbish leftover? Or indeed aliens blasted in space after space wars, just flying around body parts and stuff? Do they mean that? Let's have a look. Because that'd be a thing, wouldn't it? If having fights out there, especially if they're big. Anyway, according to Harvard astrophysicist Avi Loeb, he got fame for this, talking about Oumuamua and suggesting this, but he wrote a book called Extraterrestrial, the first sign of intelligent life beyond Earth. It was published January by Maynard Books. So it would have been January 2007, a few years ago. Anyway, that's Avi Loeb. And he was saying that the strange cigar-shaped object of Oumuamua, which was the first object that came from completely outside of, it's not part of any orbits of anything in our system. It came completely outside of it, came through and went, and they're saying it's the first time an object's come from deep space, just not involved with any of our orbits or asteroid belt or nothing. No Kuiper belt business, just comes straight through, just passing by. Saying that was the first time. And this caught a lot of attention. So Abbey Loeb was talking about this in his book. And because this Oumuamua zoomed through the solar system in 2017. And he said it's almost certainly a piece of alien technology. In his book, that's what he's saying. Loeb argues that the object's unusual elongated shape, unlike any known comet, its extreme brightness and apparent acceleration away from the sun suggests that Oumuamua is not natural in origin, but a piece of alien technology, possibly jettisoned into our solar system accidentally. A boy, as in boys at sea, a grid of pods for communication, other intelligent organisms, defunct technology, or discarded technological trash, Loeb writes. These are all plausible explanations for Oumuamua to explain the mystery. Plausible because here on Earth, humanity is already doing these things, albeit on a far more limited scale. A majority of astronomers who have studied the object favour natural explanations, calling it cosmic dust bunny, or just a really odd comet. But we are putting a lot of space junk up there ourselves. So, I mean, there is a map, there is a thing you can look at, and it just looks like the entire Earth, just orbit, it's just covered in just loads of stuff. See how many satellites are up there and bits of junk they're tracking. It's crazy. But anyway, moving on. Number 6, thousands of alien worlds could have watched humans grow up. Yeah, so while human efforts to find alien civilizations among the stars. Oh, do you know what? We have to go to a break now. I'm blasting on too quickly here. So I have to jump for the break, stay on the radio clock just for a couple of minutes. So yeah, we'll move on with this listing through. We've got to number 6, so we've only got 3 more, and then we'll jump into some alien encounters after the break. So just bear with me for just a couple of minutes while we have a little break on the Exiled Minds podcast. Trying to stick to this radio clock, keep my son trained up nice, and yeah, let's put some. What should we have? Let's have this time and on. Anyway, but in just a sec, Exiled Minds podcast, me host famously.
Determinism says that occurrences in nature are causally decided by preceding events and natural laws. That everything leading up to this point has happened for a reason.
That's right. That's what it says.
Living 14,000 years didn't make me a genius. I just had time. Can't see it, can't hear it, can't weigh it, can't measure it in a laboratory. It is a subjective sense of becoming what we are instead of what we were a nanosecond ago, becoming what we will be in another nanosecond. The whole BC time is a landscape existing before and behind us, and we move through it, slice by slice.
Clocks measure time.
They measure themselves. The objective reference clock is another clock.
That's very interesting. What has it got to do with children?
Oh, he might be a man who lives outside of time. Outside of time.
thanks very much for your patience. Welcome back to the show, Exiled Minds Podcast with me, and Martin, on Wednesday, the 5th of July, 2023. We're talking about aliens today, aliens and UFOs. And we've had a quick look at just one of the pictures from the famous Roswell. I had a quick chat about that. We've looked at some of this modern article on Live Science, which we'll continue with because there's this point I wanted to bring up here. We've gone through a few of them, saying some things that we've sort of discovered so far or hints, but then we got to this number 6, which is talking about thousands of alien worlds could have watched humans grow up. This is a bit I want to focus on. So it says in the article on livescience.com, while human efforts to find alien civilizations among the stars only kicked off in the last century or so, more than 1,700 alien civilizations could have been watching us for thousands of years prior. According to a study published in June in the journal Nature, a very famous journal, 1,750 nearby systems have had a perfect viewing angle of Earth over the last 5,000 years. More than 1,400 of them still have a clear view today. Okay, so suggesting using technologies that could look straight at us. All of these stars sit within about 300 light years of our planet, and 75 of them orbit less than 100 light years away. Given that humans have been transmitting radio signals for about 100 years, any of those 75 star systems are near enough that our radio waves would have washed over them already. Lead study author Lisa Kaltenegger, an associate professor of astronomy and the director of the Carl Sagan Institute at Cornell University, told Live Science at the time that, this could be, they could have a clear view. 75 years, they've got our stuff now. Whether or not any hypothetical civilization living in those star systems wants to communicate with us is another question. So, they kind of play it down a little bit. But the thing about that one is that, though, for me, is that, right, okay, let's jump to this next article. Just bear in mind, they're talking like, okay, they could have been watching us for a while. Yeah. And they've only just started talking about aliens. It was all tinfoil hat stuff before. So check this article. Okay, so if we look at this next one, this is from Psychology one. This is the usual sort of attitude that you get. And it says 5 traits that could get you abducted by aliens from psychologytoday.com. And the key points are, many people who have reported alien abductions suffer episodes of early morning sleep paralysis. Let's see where they're going with that one. Another key point, individuals who claim to have been abducted by aliens could be twice as likely to falsely remember things that have never happened to them. So this is basically saying they could be delusional sort of thing, right? That right? It's a bit mean. And another key point, they put right at the top of the article as well. They put, believing one has been subjected to imaginative medical procedures requires a tendency to accept unusual and non-mainstream ideas. That's kind of the feel of that to me is leaning towards saying you're a deviant. Don't go there. You could be deluded, and that's been the rhetoric sort of thing. So I thought this is interesting to bring up in this article. When's this from? This is from 2012. So you can see how that's how it used to be, but now 10 plus years later, it's kind of changed because they're talking about it. And it goes on in this article to talk about, how much TV watching, regular experiences and sleep paralysis and hallucinations while awakening. They could be experiencing this as a dream. Some people have a tendency to recall false memories. In some experiments, saying in an elegant set of experimental studies, McNally and colleagues found that individuals who claimed to have been abducted by aliens were prone to what is known as false memory syndrome. That is, alien abductees regularly claimed to recall words, items, sentences in memory tests that had never actually seen before. If this false memory effect can be generalized to autobiographical memories, as in your own memories, then individuals who claim to have been abducted by aliens would be twice as likely to falsely remember. They're saying if you imagining things normally, you might imagine things and get confused. But High levels of absorption. Alien abductees also score significantly higher than most people on mental characteristics known as absorption. This is the trait related to fantasy proneness, vivid imagery, and susceptibility to hypnosis and suggestion. Because of this, it's probably not surprising that many alien abductees record their experiences under hypnosis, where memories of abductions can be induced through suggestibility, especially if the person leading the hypnosis session asks particularly leading questions about abductions. And I think that has always been the worry about doing hypnosis. Well, they put things in your head and make you do stuff, think things, right? Yeah. Have to make you think you've been abused as a kid so you can keep coming back for trauma counseling. That kind of, you know what I'm saying? Right. I get that. And this is suggestibility, and statistics do give you clues to stuff, but numbers do lie. Numbers do lie. And it's to Bill Gates. Stats and numbers don't lie, because he literally recommends a book by Darren Huff called How to Lie with Statistics. So that's why I say you got to do your homework. You got to do your homework. You got to do your own. How to Lie with Statistics by Darren Huff is on the recommended reading list for Bill Gates. And it was on his bookshelf one time. It's on his bookshelf over his shoulder while he's saying the numbers don't lie. How to Lie with Statistics is here. It's like, come on, dude. That's true. Can't knock me off for that, because it's true. It's well known. Anyway, How to Lie with Statistics, Darren Huff. So, yeah, but I get it. You don't want to let your brains fall out. Open-minded, but don't let your brains fall out. Yeah. Don't just believe anything. Be open to it. That's the thing. Open to it. Don't just throw it out. Open to it. But you still got to assess it. Think, maybe. Because this is the thing. It then goes on, and I've seen in other studies where they're talking about the highest number of people to claim alien abduction is sort of like American housewives in a certain age that watch 8 hours of TV or more. Right? Isn't it funny? It's that, but then have they just got time to be abducted, or a lot of time alone, or is it? And they're sort of saying, "Oh, modern life and cultural beliefs can make you think stuff," but the modern way, saying it's like the modern. When it comes to sort of suggesting that, it's sort of the modern influences. I mean, like I say, it sounds a bit skeptical at the start, talking a bit delusionary stuff, because there is some kind of physical evidence. People get marks and stuff and implants, which we'll sort of get to, but in the sheer numbers of reports, so attributing a lot of this to misidentification, cognitive errors, in modern life, it can be problematic because it's not a new phenomenon. Besides what, in spite of the report, that UFO report we covered earlier, and I was saying it only went back to 2004, this has been going way longer than that. Obviously, the Roswell stuff, they did a big Operation Project Blue Book to study it back then, and that never even got covered in the UFO reports, but it goes even way further back than that, because there's, not for the video people, but it'll be in the links in the description. You can look this up. There was a celestial phenomenon over Nuremberg. Basically, it was a big UFO fight in the sky. And this was from 1561. 1561. So that's going to talking to that, have aliens, potentially extraterrestrials, been having a really great viewpoint of Earth and been watching us for thousands of years. Well, Wikipedia has got this recorded because it has to, because it's a well-known case. You've got mass sightings of celestial phenomena or unidentified flying objects occurred in 1561 above Nuremberg. It was then a free imperial city of Holy Roman Empire. So the Romans recorded this stuff. This view is mostly dismissed by skeptics, some referencing Carl Jung's mid-20th century writings about the subject. Others feel that the phenomenon was likely have been a sundog. But no, people described it. They've got different shapes. Some of them are cross-shaped. Some of them are cross-shaped with balls on the end. Some of them are tubular shape, cigar shape. There's balls on their own, small spheres, big spheres. There's an arrow-looking thing. There's the sun with stuff coming out of it. It's showing you smoke on the ground. Like there's things on fire, crashes and that. Do you know? But I don't know. You make of it what you will. But then it's not a new phenomenon. Like I say, we've got the history.com. It's got an article about the Betty and Barney Hill case. That's a famous case for the first alien abduction in 1961. So 47, we get the first crash. So let's say by the end of the 50s were thinking, oh, UFOs won't be a thing. 10 years later, someone's getting abducted. And this, what always stands out to me, is quite horrifying when they describe it. They're terrified. They're terrified. What's interesting about this is that they've been driving down the road and seeing a UFO, and then had some, abduction experience. But this is in the 60s, and this is a interracial couple in the 60s. So you've already got potentially a hard time. You've already potentially getting criticism. Do you know what I'm saying? Things are a bit tough there. Civil rights movement's not really kicked in. All that, the racism stuff, that's hard work to then come out and say, oh, I've been abducted, aliens, these creatures, but they're terrified. They're terrified, And like I say, there's that case, the Betty and Barney Hill case, is a famous one. I mean, you can listen to the recordings and it's under hypnosis, whatever you think about that. But they're describing stuff, man. But you got to remember, they've had the experience first and then gone to try and figure it out. You go, what the hell is this? Because no one's ever heard of abductions before. Only people abduction. So what's more terrifying than the notion that there's not just crazy axe murderer kidnappers or government people who want to get you, but aliens can do it. And aliens, man, you can't go to the government and ask them to stop it, can you? What do you do with that? So I don't know. I think we owe it to people to hear them out, at least. Because you can't it's like if you learn counseling, that's what you're supposed to be learning. Unconditional positive regard is just one of 6 core conditions. If you can't just accept somebody's experience at face value, they're traumatized. They need to think that you believe them. So you need to believe them so they know that you do. You need to believe them and then take it and then see. You got to be open to it. Don't mean you've got to, you know what I'm saying? It's a tough one, but you've got to do it. You've got to get through people's traumas. So that's a horrible thing. If people's been abducted, imagine that. You're not safe in your own bedroom. Think about it. What if it's happened to people? So, yeah, so we've got the Betty and Barney Hill one because it's a real shocker if you say you're going to listen to them. But yeah, they've been abducted. On the last night of a 3-day trip, a tiring couple sipped coffee in a Vermont diner and they recharged before driving back. Barney figured they pushed through. They could beat the wind and rain from the approaching hurricane. They left the diner around 10 p.m., estimating they could reach the red-framed house in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, between 2 and 3 a.m. at the latest. So they thought, got what? Another 4 or 5 hours, and then we'll be home, and that's all the long journey done. Yeah. As they drove, a strange light in the sky gave another reason to hurry. At first, it looked like a falling star, but grew larger and brighter with each mile. Barney, an avid plane watcher and World War II vet, was sure that they had nothing to worry about, just a satellite, he assured Betty. Probably went off course. The light seemed to move with the car as Barney steered down the curving mountain road. The light zigzagged, ducking past the moon and behind the trees and the mountain ridges, only to reappear moments later. Sometimes it seemed to move towards them in a game of cat and mouse. It had to be an illusion, they thought. Maybe the car's movement made it seem like the light too was moving, right? So they're trying to figure it out. They're being skeptical about it. Curiosity overcame them. The couple pulled over at the road stops and picnic turnouts to get a closer look. Through binoculars, Betty saw that the white light was really an object spinning in the air. Barney, she told her husband, if you think that's a satellite or star, you're being completely ridiculous. Do you know what I'm saying? It's time to freak. Barney she said, he knew she was right. Barney had an IQ of 140, which probably got tested during his military service. Noted Fuller in his book. So this is the thing. This is the thing. That's what I'm saying with that case. You don't necessarily want to come forward because you're interracial. You're inviting criticism, people saying you're crazy. But this guy's a smart dude. They're both trying to be skeptical about it. Because you don't want to believe. It's weird, isn't it? It's a weird thing. No one's heard of that stuff. You know what I'm saying? In fact, UFOs has probably not been a thing. Even if it was a fad at the time in like 47, 48 when it first, with the Roswell crash. But then, do you know what I'm saying? Attention spans. That's like 1961. I mean, it's nearly 2 decades later, or a decade and a half later. So it's like people forgot by then, maybe. I don't know. I don't know what to make of that, but it's a terrifying thing. And then we've got and we've got we've got one for Britain as well. We haven't really got I didn't think we had that many UFO sightings, but we've got more than I thought. But yeah, we've got our version of Roswell in the Rendlesham Forest. Military personnel is an American base. The basic story is there's a follow-on article for BBC from the 2020 in December saying 40 years on, because this is in 1980, year I was born actually, saying 40 years on, sort of any closer to the truth. 40 years ago, a remote forest in Suffolk, which is near to, it's not that far from Hunstanton Beach where I want to go. But yeah, they've got a UFO trail there now, made it a tourist thing. But yeah, in Suffolk, is seen one of the most famous purported UFO sightings in history. So just what did happen, and will we ever know for sure? So the idea was just the quick skinny on that, so you can read the article, I've got the links. Quick skinny on that one is that there's a military base in Britain. It's an American military base, but this base was storing nuclear weapons, and that's against the treaties and not supposed to because it's British soil. Naughty, naughty, bad America. But bad deal with Britain because you've obviously allowed it. But anyway, gets messy. So bad, naughty military government secret people. Naughty, right? So they do that. So they don't really like the idea. So they get this UFO coming over. Okay, and they're trying to report it in with regard to the tower and this, that, and the other. So this UFO blatant comes in between the trees, appears to kind of hypnotize some of them. One guy claims to have touched it, seen symbols on it, touched them, got some kind of message, binary codes and stuff, and aliens and whatnot. Usual message. I'm really butchering this, just trying to blast through. But yeah, so they're supposed to have a thing. But the thing about this was it was freaky is that it sort of went and came back. It was over a couple of days. And it seemed to be like hanging over the nuclear ordnance where the bunker bit is, as if they know. And there's been other cases with military silos, nuclear silos. UFOs will come over, turned everything on, right? The nuclear silos turned them on as if they're going to launch. And then everything's shut down. So this was the worry with this stuff, because one, you don't really want UFOs around sniffing around your bases. Two, you're doing something sketchy you're not supposed to be doing. You got nuclear weapons on someone else's land and you're not supposed to, but they're both secretly doing it. So you don't want people to know about that. But then previous, like I said, and after, there's been other cases where silos have been shut down. So it turned on and then shut down as if UFOs are saying, we can turn this stuff on and we can turn this stuff off. So it's useless to you, sort of thing. Do you know what I'm saying? So there's this sort of stuff, but then you think, well, is this all just nonsense? Is this all just nonsense? Is there any evidence of any physical evidence? Because there is, the government has lied about stuff, lied about Area 51, even when you could see it from the mountain, and you got aerial pictures from Russia. But no, it's not there. But we know now it's admitted. And so I always think of, well, how are you going to get any stuff? Maybe it's some of the Roswell crash. Some people grab some bits. You get crashes. Maybe grab some bits, where you're going to get physical evidence. But no, because there's the implant phenomenon with the alien stuff. Some people claim to have implants. So I'm going to draw your attention to Roger Lears. Roger Lears was a surgeon, and he started offering, I've got an article here, which is from the Ohio State University College of Arts and Sciences. Ordinary students exploring extraordinary beliefs, alien nanotechnology, from a 2018 article by Julia Strand. So it looks at the story of Roger Lears, basically the surgeon. He started offering people, it'd say, I'll have a look at your implants and look at trying to get them out and check them out. But he'd vet them and see if it sounds like they've got a legit case, and then get them over and see, and then he'd try and see if they've got implants. And he found a bunch of them. He did find a bunch of stuff. So I'll just quick read a bit of this. You can check it out yourself and look up Roger Lears. Sadly passed away now. But from the article, alien nanotechnology, which is believed to be pieces of evidence embedded into abducted humans by extraterrestrials. There is a documentary called Patient 17. Okay, that's where I might have first heard of this. Yeah, there's a documentary called Patient 17, which shows Dr. Roger Lear's 17th surgery removal of extraterrestrial implants, with more than half the people in this world believing that aliens exist. Roger Lear is not alone in his beliefs. And it's more than that now. This information has been found and studied through pieces found by these abductees over the past 2 decades. Researchers have been exploring the belief that these encounters may in fact be true. So that's Roger Lear. During the documentary of Patient 17, Lear came to find that the extraterrestrial implants were inside of his patients were made of a total of 36 elements, which is far greater than any industrial form of article. Also, shared in his documentary how their isotope ratios of zinc 64 and zinc 66 would indicate that these elements could not have been made possible from the elements found on Earth. The case against this belief would be that there are no legitimate evidence that has been able to back up scientifically Roger Lear. Well, no, yeah, he's saying you can't make this on Earth, but then how are they countering that exactly? The case against this belief will be that there are no legitimate evidence to be able to. Yeah, he can't prove they've been made off-world just because we can't make them here. But it's still weird that it seems we don't know how to make these and they exist. Leo was also very stringent when it came to sharing his research, which never sits well with the scientific world. Interestingly, the contributions that form this belief system comes from a varying array of research depictions of objects from such patients. That being said, people are led to believe what they do from the information found from the elements that make up the objects. I would like to think the background information is more of misinterpreted. Yeah, okay. So to Roger Lears, he did find some funky stuff. And I remember seeing one of them. I think Whitley Strieber went there. Whitley Strieber's a guy who famously talked about, alien medical experiments happening to him. And he went on national TV and they kind of laughed at him. But he'd gone on national TV after he'd been to a camping trip, didn't remember much, strangely, remembered seeing some people, and then went to his doctor and said, look, I've got problems. And it turns out his doctor's like, yeah, you've been abused. Some stuff's happened to you. Find bruising on him and stuff. Something's happened to you. And he ends up remembering talking about it on national TV. And that's where they start joking about having a butt probe and stuff, because his doctor said, you've been raped. Do you know what I'm saying? Imagine your doctor saying that after a camping trip where you kind of lose your memory and you end up talking about it, going on national TV for an interview, and they laugh at you because you tell them what your doctor said to you. Imagine that. So this is why I'm saying you've got to check this stuff out for yourself, because something happened there for that guy. And you know what I'm saying? That's harsh. That's a harsh response. We make a joke of it, or aliens give you a butt probe, but that's where it comes from. So consider that. So think about it. And like I say, who and this, this government agencies, I was going to do a quick bit on a Majestic 12, who's the people that, once this stuff starts to become a realization for governments, these are the people that kind of covered it up. The secret government, alleged secret government organization, Majestic 12. They're the sort of shadow people in the X-Files, that's who they're supposed to be. People in the background that are doing all the plan with the aliens. So, they're going to come take over. Let's just roll over, but we'll be in a good position. That was the premise of the X-Files. These government types and business types were kind of working with them, thinking, they're just going to take over us anyway. So we'll just make sure we get a good spot in the new world. But anyway, whatever you think, is why it's so big, such a big topic. And let's say nothing really stands alone. And that's why I have to really have a look at this stuff and try and get a handle on it. And I think 1 hour shows there's not really enough time to really cover some of this stuff because it's getting deep. So maybe we should start doing longer shows. We'll see. Maybe we'll do that. Start doing longer shows perhaps on some of these topics, because they just go on and on, some of them. Because I mentioned that because we're coming to the end of the show, folks, and there's a bunch of stuff I didn't get to. I'll just quickly show you this before I go, that there's just for the thing of like this phenomenon's been going for a while, because it seems as if the government types with his UFO reports recent want to kind of give the impression it's new, modern. It's not, and some of these tricksters and things, UFO encounters, like I say, some from Nuremberg, and there's this the mowing devil, 1671, where this guy's crops just get mowed. Basically, we're talking, this seems like an early example of crop circles sort of thing. So I just wanted to point that out, because we haven't even got to that bit yet, and how if that's sort of interconnected with all of this. So, but at least we've done an aliens and UFO show for now. I can't believe I uncovered this so far. But yeah, we'll do some of these part 2s and part 3s. But yeah, then I might also consider doing some longer shows. But we'll see how it goes. Still a work in progress. I haven't been very well, and I've had a lot of stuff to do sort of in my personal life. So, but onwards and upwards, we keep going. We'll just keep showing up, right? Anyway, thanks very much for tuning in to the Exiled Minds podcast with me, the incredibly famous Liam Martin, on Wednesday, the 5th of July, 2023, broadcasting live from Nottingham in merry old England, and also going live, or we'll be going up soon on Troubled Minds Radio Network, KUAP Digital Broadcasting. Check it out. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, and please, help grow the show. I'll start turning up a bit more for you, and keep refining it and stuff. And we'll try and keep tight to this radio clock. So hopefully, as we move forward, I'll keep refining. The station's going to get huge anyway, because it's just a good thing. There's so many talented people coming out of the listeners, and there's new shows coming up as well. No one just popped up yesterday, so I've been working on some tracks for that, for the intro. So anyway,
No one would have
catch you
believed
tomorrow.
in the early years of the
Exiled Minds Podcast,
century.
10 p.m. Got rid of the ghost in the machine.
Now,
So 10 p.m. GMT.
my intelligence
See you
is
then.
greater than our own. And as men busy themselves about their various concerns, they observed and studied. The way a man with a microscope might scrutinize the creatures that swarm and multiply in a drop of water. With infinite complacency, men went to and fro about the globe, confident of our empire over this world. Yet, across the gulf of space, intellects vast and cool and unsympathetic regarded our planet with envious eyes. And slowly and surely, through their prayers,
Timeless kinship. I've given up all chance at inner peace. I've made my mind a sunless place. I share my dreams with ghosts. I wake up every day to an equation I wrote 15 years ago, from which there's only one conclusion. I'm damned for what. My anger, my ego, my unwillingness to heal, my eagerness to fight has set me on a path from which there's no escape. I yearn to be a savior against injustice without contemplating the cost, and by the time I look down, there's no longer any ground beneath my feet. What is my sacrifice? I share my dreams with ghosts. I'm condemned to use the tools of my enemy to defeat them. I burn my decency for someone else's future. I burn my life to make a sunrise that I know I'll never see. Now, the ego that started this fight will never have a mirror, an audience, the light of gratitude. So what do I sacrifice? Everything!